All right, just getting loaded up to head to Dave's. I mentioned my buddy was coming to help. We're just gonna take his truck. It's a bit nicer. It's a Ranger though. I'm gonna do an axle on the way back in like 20 minutes. I can do that real fast. Let's grab this head and flywheel, the rest of those tools, and we're pretty much loaded up. It took 10 minutes longer than I was hoping to get that block out, but it's out. All right, just loading up the rest. All right, time for a pit stop. We just got loaded up. The rain's finally letting up now that we're done loading, and I've done fixing cars all morning. At the Mavericks, time to grab some breakfast, some fuel, and what else were we doing? Breakfast and fuel. Well, bad news is I got a tornado for breakfast, took one bite. I didn't even get to the sausage in it, and it fell out of my hand onto the gas station floor. So I threw that away. All I've got for breakfast is Powerade, and now I gotta go to the bathroom when we get to Dave's first thing, I think. So we're just passing Salt Lake, and got some weight in the back of this. I think we can feel it, but the motor's doing fine. And this 10-speed, it's nice. I'm gonna say there's Salt Lake between the truck. All right, we're just like 10, 20 minutes out, I think, and I'll let you know when we get there. Almost there. All right, look where we are. We made it. Let's head inside and see what's up. I know I'm at least gonna get that crank and say what's up to Dave, so I might not film much. We'll see.
You gotta wait for yourself. Let's start it.
So it was pretty cool meeting Dave. I actually talked to him for quite a bit, and he showed me around his shop. Apparently we have a lot more in common than I realized, but I was excited they were able to take care of my crank for me, and I was super excited to look around the shop. That's something I've always dreamed of having one day, so I'm gonna work hard to earn something like this. Well, they were recording everything, so hopefully they make a good video about all the tips Dave was able to give me and about my plans and goals for 30, 40 years in this industry. We're out back, baby.
It's not like I run a brake shop where people are gonna, you know, people are gonna drive by 3 brake shops to get to you or me or, you know, whatever.
His advice was invaluable to me. I'm really going to take it to heart. I'm really excited to get these parts back in the back of my buddy's truck. We looked over all the parts, hopefully to make a video about that. But Dave gave me a lot of pointers to move forward with this build. So let's get back to my place and take a look at the motor and everything I have, start doing some measurements, and see what I need to order.
Just getting back on the way back from Dave's, and I had a neighbor whose van broke down in West Valley on the way back. So I'm gonna try and do this as fast as I can. Hopefully 20 minutes. I've got to replace the axle. I don't even know which one it is, so I brought both sides. Let's find out which one it is. Yeah, I don't even have to see the axle to tell you it's that side. Passenger side. That's usually the longer axle though. But here's why I don't have to see the axle, because there's the ball bearings. I'm gonna keep those though, some slingshot ammo.
I got this done in probably about 30 minutes. A couple things made it take longer.
I think I just figured out why that axle broke. Because this caliper is seized. I was trying to pry it off, and that's a lot of prying. It's not moving. That should not be a parking brake. I can take the rotor off either way and get this fixed, but that probably overworked that old axle and just busted it because of that. You probably get a better look than me still. I haven't got too good of a look, but that's definitely the issue. It's raining. Lightning, let's get out of here.
And I know you're gonna think it like everybody else always says, there's a jack stand, it's behind the jack, you just can't see it. Just gotta pry this out real quick. It should all go back together nice and quick. Let's get out of this rain and lightning.
All right, it's a few days later. Yeah, you can see the block right there. I've got to do the measurements on this crank. That's what Dave warned me about before going forward with anything. Make sure those bearing clearances were good. I think we're looking at like 2,000ths on those. Clearances is what we're supposed to have. I've got plastic gauge, so let's pull this block out. I've got just enough time this afternoon to do this and measure the clearance on those connecting rod bearings as well. It was raining pretty good the other day, so I just had to throw this thing in here as fast as I could, and I didn't get it all the way in. I was also doing some jobs that day, every day, no free time. It has been a few days. I would have already liked to have been started on this, but there are some other things I need to order as well, which I already went over, but I'm probably not going to include all of that in the video. It wasn't super interesting. All right, nothing crazy. I'm going to be doing this 50 times over the next few weeks while I start building this thing and hopefully getting it done. I don't have enough savings to get it done yet, but you know, I've got 80% of the parts. I want to go ahead and get started. Anyways, that's dangling. Let's get it in the back of the Ranger, flip it over on that mat, and then I'll get that plastic gauge on it and measure the clearances on that. Fingers crossed, but we might need to add bearings to that list too. Well, so much for thinking I fixed my wheel last time. I put a nut on it, but I guess it didn't stay on for more than 2 seconds. I'm probably just gonna jack that up and get that wheel back on, but it's kind of stuck in between right now. That's more like it. I'm just gonna flip this over real quick so it's upside down, and then I can do some bearing measurements. I gotta get that heavy crank out here and on there too, real carefully. Just good enough. I can slide this. Okay. It's oily right now. I've got to clean this up so I don't get a false reading. Spick and span. Not even any dust behind it. Plenty of fibers and stuff from my towels already on there. And dust. Forgot I'd have to clean that. Extra 30 minutes. I'm gonna have to pressure wash this by the end of the day too, but I mean not today, by the end of the rebuild. Chase all the threads. I know. Just testing clearances. See, I was worried about that too. But I did file down the part that stuck into the bearing surface. I thought I can feel a little bump there still. So that should ride fine. Let's clean up these other ones. Now, I'd probably be fine just measuring 1 or 2 of these, 3, you know, front, back, middle, something like that. I'm gonna go ahead and just measure them all though. I'm gonna get that crank in there. I'm missing one of those oil sprayers too. I've got to order a little bit of everything, including those alignment pins for the bottom caps. I gotta go clean those too. Those other sprayers are there, but if I buy one, I might just buy an upgraded set. We'll see. These pig mats absorb oil really well and everything else, but they're the last thing from lint free. So I'm just gonna set them on there to absorb this oil, but I've still got to clean them off and then set them somewhere else. They will just leave fibers on everything. Here's those other alignment pins. I've got to order like 6 of these, but I don't need them to test the clearances. Here's the plastic gauge. I guess I need more than just 2 things. I've got the rods here. The piston's already on them, so I'll probably just do that at the same time, but I'm not going to put the pistons in the cylinder. I'll just do them as if they were down in the oil pan upside down.
And just like that front part on the main bearing, I've got one of these caps that has a little dent in it too. Here's what I did with the file just to get that gently nice and flat.
I think that's the right way. Got that number 1 right there. Unless they're like this, but that double notch right there tells me those bearings line up together on that side. All right, let's get that crank out, get these out. Let's get some measurements. Should be pretty clean. Okay, that's heavy. That keyway looks great though. I don't even know if that's a Woodruff key. That's just one big old long key. Those Woodruff keys are those semicircle half moon looking ones. That thing looks even stronger. That's good though. If you don't remember, the old pin was just crooked out of the way, messed up. So this looks good. Let's get the plastic off and get it set up.
And obviously there's a lot more Dave would want to do to this before just putting stuff together, even more than I'm gonna do. Obviously they're not gonna use plastic gauge. There's a little bit better ways of measuring gaps. Dave's worried about precision, and with this build, I just want something that'll be reliable for a few years.
Triple package. Normally there's 2 bearings that look like this. I guess there's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah.
Now that's not to say I don't believe that better precision is obviously better.
Yeah, I gotta clean these too.
The problem is with this build, I think if we went super precise, most of these parts wouldn't even be usable. And I want to go somewhere in between those guys that build motors on the side of the desert in third world countries and just a backyard build, you know what I mean? I want to turn the P-pump up a little, and I want to make sure I measure everything right, but if it's just a little bit out of tolerance like you might see in a bit, then just a little bit's okay with me. And obviously this isn't going to be my first rebuild. I've rebuilt plenty of motors. The first vehicle I ever drove, my first truck I bought, had a blown motor, and before I could ever drive it, I did a full rebuild on that engine. And I rebuilt that same motor like 3 different times because I had some junkyard ones.
So let's use the green. It should fall on this one.
Again, Dave would measure how straight this bore is and everything. I'm not able to do that, and I'm not even worried about that. Let's check the gap here. I'm looking for something between 2 and 4 thousandths.
Okay, I gotta tighten them down though, so let's dry these off and get them all tightened up. Okay, I got those tightened down. Moment of truth. See if we're at 2 thousandths. No idea. All right, we'll take the first look together.
All right, not bad. All of them are looking like this. I'm gonna use the red one on one of them and just compare. So obviously it is concerning, and Dave was extra concerned. We didn't even know where this block's been machined at. And he was pretty worried about that little crack on the front, so I'm gonna have to see what I can do about that. But luckily it's pretty close to the front edge. And the surfaces are flat. Those have been machined. Dave was a little worried that I only had a ball hone, but the cylinders have been bored oversized. I've got all the parts ordered oversized. I was just planning on honing it with the ball hone. I'm not sure how much Dave likes that though, but I can get it pretty close to that 45 intercrossing degrees. Bummed I can't reuse that camshaft. They don't think that's any good. And our gaps are looking like 4 thousandths at the most. I'm fine with that.
Okay, well these are all consistently 003, 004, 3 thousandths, 4 thousandths of an inch.
And I'm still skeptical if this thing's even gonna be able to be put back together. We'll have to wait and see. Well, I verified that nothing's been done to this main bearing side, so I'm ready to start putting this together and building a long block.
All right, that's gonna do it for today. I just got those measured. One was closer to 3 thousandths, all the rest were closer to 4. Make sure you're subscribed. Next one's coming soon.